Hi everyone, I'm Brandon Reines.
Hi, I am Faizel.
And do you have a last name, Faisal?
I got a last name. I don't use it very often. I am Faizel John Moment.
Faisal, just like Elvis, just known by his first name.
Exactly. Mononym.
Well, I never use your first name. If I mention Faisal, everyone know they're not like, who's that?
Yeah, I know. There's like
know.
six of us.
So what movie are we reviewing today?
Hellraiser 2. I didn't
Nice.
know it had the tagline Hellbound. Or
Oh,
actually, I guess it's Hellbound colon Hellraiser 2.
yes, yes.
You
Yeah, I
know,
like they gave it something to separate it.
I guess I always hate when they put it in front of the movie. Like let me think, like First Blood, Rambo 2. Was that what it was called?
Yeah, yeah, that is kind of weird. And then it was like Rambo 3, so
Put
they
it
got rid of the whole
after the
First
movie.
Blood. But then the
Yeah.
First Blood came back again with Part 5. It was like Last Blood, and then the fourth one was just called Rambo.
Just put it after. It can be Hellraiser 2, Hellbound.
But funny enough, I was actually gonna use that for Grotesque 2. Because there is like a Japanese movie called Grotesque. It's pretty famous. There's also like a Linda Blair '80s movie called Grotesque. So I
I
was
do
like, I
not
wanted
know.
to change the title to like Mildred. So it was going to be Mildred Grotesque 2. But then after a while, I was like, you know what? I don't really like that. So I'm just going to call it Grotesque 2.
Yeah, whatever. You're in good company.
Yeah. So what are your first thoughts on
On Hellraiser 2.
Hellraiser 2?
Oh, let me think. Because I wouldn't say this is my favorite Hellraiser movie, but it is my favorite depiction of hell in any movie ever. It's much less horny than the first movie. Much less. I'm trying to think of any big takeaways that I've had. I've seen this movie so many times. This is one of those ones that gets a lot of replay for me over the years. So like I know it inside and out. I love all the plot points. I love the little girl in there. I love most of the special effects and everything. Just generally based on how many times I've watched it, I'd say this is a 9 for me.
I'd probably give it a 7.5, the same as the first Hellraiser, but it's weird because it's like a different 7.5. It's like I like some things better, some things I don't like as much, but it evens out to like overall quality. I give it the same score.
Fair enough, I get it. I guess let's start with what things didn't you like about it?
There's not a lot I didn't like. It just some of it got a bit like the first one was a bit more straightforward. This one it got into it seems more, especially when they go into the hell world, it kind of got into just freaky looking imagery for the sake of like having something scary. So, she's going through like her childhood home kind of thing. There's stuff like that. It doesn't really fit in the story. It's just, hey, they're in hell. They can do whatever they want. So they could just
Yeah, it's
film any
just there
sort
for
of,
kind of jump scare
yeah. It wasn't so much jump scare. It was
or an
just like,
atmosphere per se.
yeah, it's like atmosphere. And they just kind of went on for quite a while of just, and it was all interesting looking. But I just find that like on repeated viewings, I kind of just want to get past that to get on to like the more cool
The rest
story
of the
stuff.
plot. Well, I guess we should also mention that this wasn't directed by Clive Barker.
No, who directed this? I didn't even.
Tony Randall.
Tony
I know
Randall.
that from The Simpsons. That's the only reason I know Tony Randall. Let's look through his like discography here or filmography. Oh, he did Fist of the North Star. Did you ever see the live action movie
No.
North Star? It's all right. I see there's a movie here called Shark, Kansas Women's Prison Massacre,
Okay, sounds classic.
2016. And then after that was A Doggone Christmas and A Doggone Hollywood.
Hmm. I've noticed there's quite a few directors that they kind of started out promising and with some cool movies, and then later all their it's like Air Bud and all these like
I guess at the
animal
time it's
movies.
like what movie you could what who's paying you money to make the movie, I guess, because
Yeah.
yeah, that's sad.
But yeah, overall, there was a lot of cool stuff about the movie. It had some like great gore in it.
It
They
did.
did. There were some things that like I don't quite get. Like in the first movie, it took like multiple murders and dead bodies for Frank to resurrect himself. But also in this one, it just took
Like
one
one
body
and
for
Julia's
Julia
back.
to fully come back, and it's like maybe she wasn't totally ripped apart, so it's like she didn't need to, rebuild herself as much. Maybe there's some excuse like that, but that scene was pretty cool with her like crawling around all slimy and bloody on the ground. Like, was pretty
Uh,
messed up.
Oh man, yeah, a lot of it is really good. When Kirsty Swanson like she wakes up and like she's remembering like the "Help me, I am in hell." Um,
Mm,
that's still always gonna be good visual. Like it's so creepy. It's so like the concept of it is so creepy. And Julia is like the actress. So I think the actress I read, she didn't want to come back. It's funny how the plot of this film was influenced a lot by like cast who could or couldn't come back. Because like they wanted to bring the guy who played Frank's brother. I forget his name right now.
yeah, the
Um,
dad.
they wanted to bring him back for the sequel, and like they couldn't make it work one way or another, so he ended up getting cut. And then Julia, this was the last movie, and she was like, after that, she was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and so they had to write her out of it. Um, but like, man, does she do a good job in this? I think she's the best part of this whole thing.
Yeah, even she's just walking around that dude's house with when she's all got no skin on and like leaving bloody footprints on the ground. There's
Such
so
cool
many.
imagery.
I think that was the part. Like I saw it when I was like a teenager, and I didn't see it for like quite a few years. But that was like the one scene, like that and the hell were like the two parts that were like vividly imprinted on
Yeah.
my brain. Um, is just her doing that. But like all the characters are good too. Like that, like the Doctor Chenard, like
Dr.
it's
Chenard, yeah, he's good.
he's he's like a doctor, but he's just into like really twisted shit. So when he finds out
He's
about
so
like
crazy.
the whole thing, like he just like he basically wants to become a Cenobite kind of thing, and it's kind of cool. We actually get to like see how he get turned into a Cenobite, and it's like wow, that's very creative. It's like a chamber thing, and a thing sticks to their head, and then it just like mutilates them somehow. And
I assume it's, well, actually, now this is a good question I guess I can ask you. I assumed it's the same mechanism for all the Cenobites, but they get different like traits put upon them based on like what they were into in the
yeah,
life.
yeah,
Do you
that's what
think it's
they.
like, do you think it's a unique experience per, or do you think it's like a set thing? Because yeah,
I think it's just kind of like whatever it seems like whatever your like major flaw is in real life, like especially at the end of this movie when the three Cenobites are killed and you see them return to their human form. It's like the Chatterer is like a little kid, like he probably just like talked too much, so it's just like now you like the big fat guy was just a big fat guy, so I guess he just
yes, the
like ate
glutton.
too much, so it's like oh yeah, that's how we'll punish you. It kind of changes in part three, which we'll review next, because that one it's like the DJ has like CDs in his head, but that's not really a flaw. That's just more like your
What
occupation
he's
during your
into.
life.
Well, it
Um,
changes from movie to movie, I find. The internal lore of what happens like changes every movie, would you say?
yeah, it's kind of like the Nightmare on Elm Street series where they just make up the rules for each movie as they go, and it doesn't really make sense. But I haven't seen like the three newest Hellraisers, like the two without Doug Bradley and then the remake. I haven't even seen them yet. Part of the lore is like there is like politics and things going on like behind the scenes. So it could be that like the rules change because they change the rules. I mean, like it's not like it's like a metaphysical thing or it's just like set in stone. It's like they could just change or maybe Pinhead came back and he's like in part three he has more power, so he's like I'm gonna make my own Cenobites and I can make them whatever the hell I want and so
Well, they
um
also have the comic books and the books, right?
yeah, I've read the first book. I tried reading was it called the Scarlet something, the sequel to
Yeah,
Hellraiser. I tried reading it. I didn't like it,
didn't
which
get
sucked
into
because
it.
I loved the first book. I read it like twice in a row. Um, but I tried reading one of the graphic novels and I just found it not very well written. But then I heard that there's other ones that are good, so
They're
maybe I should
better.
give more of them a
Interesting.
chance.
I mean, hey, if you ever want to see us review some comic books, let us know. I'd love to pick up that comic book and check it out.
Yeah, like the depiction of hell, you're right. It's like it's very, and it's not like fire, brimstone, devil hell. It's like some other sort of
It makes
world.
me think a lot of, I'm trying desperately right now to remember the movie. I think, was it called From Beyond? Let me Google this up here. Yes, with Barbara Crampton. Did you ever see those movies, From Beyond, and
No.
then I forget the sequel. It's like H.P. Lovecraft, Reanimator.
Yeah.
Reanimator was the
I watched
first one, and
Reanimator
then
last
from,
night.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Reanimator, and then From Beyond is kind of like a pseudo sequel. But like these movies remind me a lot of the world in that movie, you know?
Yeah,
Would we agree?
it has that vibe. It has part of it like it's like the hell world. It has a bit. It's like the movie Labyrinth. It's like a dark version of Labyrinth. And part of it, for some reason, reminds me of Tron. Just like that, like you're in a weird '80s special effects sci-fi world.
Yeah, because of how flat it is, I guess.
Yeah, and it's just like it's kind of like a big matte painting kind of thing.
Yes.
It's just like it just has a bit of that. Like it reminds me of that, but it looks cool. I like that their god or whatever it is like a big like
Leviathan.
diamond shaped
Yeah,
thing.
it's a
Yeah,
diamond. They call it Leviathan in the thing. And like when I was a kid, I started looking into Leviathan and I was like, what the heck is this all about? And like, man, there's some cool imagery out there. But
yeah.
like, yeah, it's so simple and so like, because I've seen Leviathan painted in all sorts of different ways, dragons and like devils. But like that one, I don't know why it's so simple and it works so well.
And it doesn't like he doesn't talk or anything. Like I'm
No, it
glad
just
they did
shoots out
that.
a laser beam at one point, right?
Yeah, like or like the little blue lasers. I'm glad they did that versus like some sort of entity that like spoke. That would have been
It
too
would have
like
cheapened it a
cheesy.
little bit.
Yeah. And then yeah, there's like all the little corridors, which we kind of saw in the first one. So you see the Cenobites, in there, and there's different like chambers you can go in, and then she runs into Uncle Frank. So it's kind of like I guess there are people trapped in there. And I guess
Have
that's how Frank's in the first movie somehow found his way out of there at the beginning.
to like the little doors and the little like tunnels.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen like I fell into a YouTube hole a while back about biblically accurate angels. Have you ever seen anything like that?
I don't think so.
They are so metal, and it also makes me think of the Hellraiser world, where like if you look at like people have done illustrations of angels, because angels always show up and be like, "Be not afraid," but
Yeah.
like there's a reason why they're like, "Be not afraid," because like they look insane, like description from the Bible and yada yada yada. Some of those angels look nuts. And
Hmm.
like it's this, but simple. Like one of them is a circle inside of a circle and covered in eyes. And it makes me think of Leviathan a lot from the thing where it's like it looks crazy, but it's also so simple.
And I'm glad it's like I think the movie almost benefited from just the era it came out where they had some kind of okay effects, but it wasn't
They were they
modern because
were
now they
yeah,
now
they
they can
were
do whatever you
constrained.
want. They would have
Yeah,
taken it to extremes and just like the whole world would have been crazy looking and
just
it's like
zombies everywhere and like little
yeah.
demons and stuff. Like the fact that they were constrained. Well, it's also like to tie it to another movie. Did you ever see Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer?
No, that's what it's on my list. I just never gotten around to seeing it.
So, fun fact about that movie, they never actually show any kills in that movie. What they do to show the kills is because they didn't have any budget to actually because you know better than anyone else. It's expensive to film a kill. So they didn't really have any budget to film these kills. So instead, they just have the woman who they kill like lying there, throat slashed open or something, and then they play you the audio of the killing happening while she's lying there dead, and then they just like pan over the person and like they let you imagine what's happening like for the kill. And like it's such an inventive and cool way to show like a serial killer. It's so creepy, but like it was purely because they didn't have the budget to film the full kills.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
those
it's
cool
like
little constraints that pull you in, but then make it like the hallmark of the movie where you're like, that's why it's cool.
yeah, exactly. There's so many movies like that I think benefited from some sort of restraint. It's kind of like being spoiled. It's like once you can buy every toy you've ever wanted, all of a sudden you appreciate it less and it's not as fun. Whereas when you just have less, it's like you appreciate what you have. And that's why like older movies from those eras just kind of seem better because like they had to rely on
Practical
creativity
effects.
rather than like every and that's why going into the future when we just like especially AI could just like make anything in your imagination come true for anyone. I just think that the quality of things is gonna like suffer because it's like when you can do anything, it's like all of a
But do
sudden
you
it's like
think that'll
story goes
then
out the window.
create a movement back towards like I'm trying to think of an equivalent idea, but like so I'm ever since I found out about how movie animals are like abused to hell, like elephants, tigers, dogs, all of that. Since then, if I see a movie with digital tigers or something, I'm kind of like, I'm good with this. This is I'd rather this than that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I'm wondering if this AI thing where we can have literally anything we imagine out of a box into a thing, I wonder if that'll create a backlash movement back towards practical effects where people are like, okay, it's a little janky, but I'd rather have this than that.
Yeah, and we kind of already seen that in like the past decade, where it's all of a sudden we use all practical effects. Because it would seem like in like early '90s when it was like Jurassic Park, Terminator 2, that's when like
Everything
we could
was
all of a sudden
computer
do cool
generated.
shit, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, the CGI is so great." But like, when's the last time you heard that? No one brags about CGI anymore because, well, now that you can do it, it's like, okay, but the movie still has to be entertaining, and there's so many effects movies that are boring as hell to watch.
Oh my
And
God, there's so many.
so now it's like practical effects are cool, and it's like and it's true. Like it's like I want to see effort put into it. Like if anyone could just like have Chat GPT spit out a script and then feed that into Sora to create images, it's like, well, that's you're cutting every corner, and I don't care to watch that. Like I want to see something that took effort to make, where it's like, yeah, these people worked hard on these costumes and these effects, and
You
these
thought
actors did
about it
this
for a lot.
performance. Like it kind of makes the movie better and everything. It's like criticism, like what we're doing. It's like that's part of a movie too. It's like, hey, if the movie sucks, we'll say it sucked, but
It sucks.
but that's part of the thing, and it just seems like just like technology, while it make things easier, it doesn't make it better. And even like with my movies, we put all this work into like, I mean, grotesque is hardly high budget, but we put a
But you
lot
put
of
in a
work
lot of
into it,
work into it.
and then I make something like I'm Haunted, which was we kind of just winged it and did it for fun, and all of a sudden that is like a mega popular movie, and so it's like people would rather like respond to just someone talking on camera because they just like that story. So it kind of makes me feel good that there are people that are still interested in just like the entertain, like the quality aspect of it, like the story and the writing versus just what images can you show.
Absolutely.
um,
I think writing is always going to be king. And I think like a well-written movie will always trump out over like the craziest visual effects and the craziest like
yeah.
things. But yeah. Yeah, it is very weird in the time. This conversation went a whole different way, but I'm just now like just like, man, we are heading towards some scary times and maybe like a return to primitivism, which I'm down
Yeah.
with.
Which I would honestly love that. Like it might even be like, man, anything on the internet just kind of sucks. Like just like
Well,
YouTube is
have you ever
flooded
heard
with
the
crap.
dead
So
internet theory?
I heard it mentioned. I don't know what it is though. Maybe you can enlighten me.
It's the idea that like so like you said, AI is just flooding the entire internet with crap, and there's like bots everywhere, like interacting with all this stuff. And then the idea that like eventually there's going to be like less and less humans on the internet, and it's just going to be bots and AI interacting with each other's shit.
Yeah, I can kind of see that because I don't know if it's just me, but like it just seems like everything on the internet is worse than it used to be. Like
Well, it's
YouTube used to be better. It just like Spotify used to be better. Just like everything, even like Marvel used to be better. Just like and
It's when
Netflix
it
used to be
became a
better.
job, when people realized that it was something you could monetize, and specifically when brands realized it was something you could monetize. And so they incentivize it in specific ways. Like everything is becoming like censored because like it's easier to show brands on things if you're not swearing. Like you've heard that thing. I'm sure you've heard it definitely. I don't know who else has, but like if you want your video to do well on YouTube, you can't swear within the first minute of the
Yeah,
video and stuff like that. Like those are constraints in a bad way, where like they neuter the product and they make the
yeah.
product.
Like I can't monetize grotesque because violence and like one scene of drug use. Hot box, even though marijuana is legal, like in a lot of places, but God, no chance in hell. Like they just like have it in for that movie. But it's like, yeah,
Which
YouTube's
is
like
crazy.
heavily censored. I could do like I'm Haunted is fine because it's like scary. Well, it's like a horror, but it's not bad. But it's like, yeah, they're censoring things. Like it's like how we're going backwards to like the friggin' Middle Ages, and it's yeah, it's getting to the point that I heard someone say that like I heard some stat that like last year, like bookstores are all of a sudden doing like super good because it's like, you know what? Like I've heard like people are just like pumping out these like shitty AI books. So
Oh yeah, I've seen so many of those.
Amazon had to put in a rule that you can't upload more than 3 books a day now because but even there's something like I don't know like 100,000 books a day are uploaded and they're just crap. Bookstore like some like publisher vetted the books to make sure they're good and then the bookstore vetted those to make sure this is good enough that it could probably sell. So if you go to a bookstore, any book in there is of reasonable quality and you just find one you like. Same if
I'm
you go
gonna
to a
throw
store
you
and
one.
buy a DVD, if someone took a chance to like make a physical DVD, the movie is probably better than something you see online. So it could get to the point where it's like, what's the point of going on any streaming platform? Because your odds of finding the one good thing out of 100,000 uploaded a day. So it's like, you know what? Just like go to a play, go to something real, something physical, because yeah, it's just like the internet's dead. And like, I don't want to get down, I don't know a lot about it, but even just things like NFTs where they're basically trying to
Oh yeah.
make it's like they're trying to make like a freaking JPEG image have value. And it's like it doesn't have value. It's like it's just a picture on the internet. It's crap. Like
It's yeah.
if it's something I could hang in my house, then it has value. But like I don't even like I mean I watch things on YouTube all the time. I don't mind streaming movies, but it's not as like rewarding. I like owning the thing in my hand, and I way rather watch it on DVD if I have it on DVD
The
because it's
convenience
like a
is
real thing.
nice. I'm really big into like I used to like buy albums. Like I used to buy CDs because I was just like I need this on a CD. It was nice to have the CDs, but it's also super convenient to have like all every recorded song ever made ever in the palm of my hand, right? Like
Yeah,
that's super convenient. But like, yeah, I don't know where we're headed towards. I really hope, like in my like tiny little heart of hearts, what I really hope is that we're gonna see a return to like indie that golden era of indie film in the 90s where like there was that a little bit of a reaction to what was happening and people were like fuck it we're just going to make like super story driven super heartfelt films and we're going to create this little like independent film scene and this independent film festival scene where we show some of the best films ever made. I don't know. I would hope that that's something we're headed towards because everything's getting so big on this side. It's physics. Every reaction has an equal and opposite
yeah,
reaction.
yeah. I really hope that's the way too. Like I just art, the things that we do, whether it's music or movies, like it should have value to it. And it just seems like even now how we see like just the money you make on streaming is going down and down and down and now it's like
Because
pennies,
the
right?
value isn't the picture you see on screen. The value is the story you tell and the like emotions you
Yeah.
create.
And it's like, but as soon as you put that on Tubi or whatever it is, all of a sudden you're one of a million, and and then it's like you're all fighting for eyeballs and attention, and then the companies that run them, they're making good money, but they're paying you like the little scraps, and
10
it's
cents.
like so you spend years learning how to play guitar, and then you put your songs online, and then it's like, yeah, but AI can just generate like a million songs per friggin' hour and throw those on there, and then they get a bunch of bot accounts to watch those songs to so they get shared more. And then it's like, man, you want to live in that world? Like it's just like
It's
you
a
would see
scary
a
world. I
live
just heard
band. It's
about
so much
someone doing
better.
exactly that. I
Yeah,
just
I
read
know.
about a guy who, like, we probably read the same story where he was like
Yeah, and
turned
he got
like
like
millions
charged.
of
He's like going to
dollars.
jail.
He did it because he was too greedy. Like halfway through the video, I was like, shit, how do I do that?
Yeah, but of course, everyone's thinking that now, right? So if
Yeah,
everyone
of
does
course.
that, it means that there's going to be less money in that, and then
Well, you have to, that's exactly, you bring up a really good point. Like, how many people read that story? And then, like, out of the hundreds and thousands of people that read that story, 10% are going to be like, hey, I can do that, and like follow through and do that. And that just contributes more to this, like, yeah, the internet being one big dead thing.
it's kind of funny. It was when I was young. I mean, we're getting way off topic here, but when I was like I when I was younger, like I remember like I kind of like grew into the internet, right? Because I was probably like 16 or so when it really became like people had it in their houses, and I remember my buddy Joel, his dad was like a principal at a school, and he's like, my dad's school, like they just got the internet hooked up, and he said like we go there and use it. so we like went there and logged, and that was my first time ever. Like I'm on the internet, and the very first thing I ever looked up was a Beastie Boys like interview or something. I was big in
Nice.
Beastie Boys, and back then it was so cool. And then as it like grew, it's like you can like look at pictures on your night, you can like listen to music, and eventually, and it
Man,
was, and then all of a sudden now it's like, man, it's not exciting anymore. It's kind of like you have to search through the crap, and it's having like a negative
100%. If
impact
you
on
weren't
people.
there, you don't understand it. The 2000 the internet of the mid 2000s was a utopia. It was
Yeah.
my Xanadu. Like it was like you could find anything. I was learning how to hack during that time. I was learning how to like download everything I needed. Like I was in whatchamacallit. I grew up in East Africa, Tanzania. Like we had very little there. But like from my tiny little computer in there, I got to experience an entire world. I got to learn so much. Like, yeah, the internet of the 2000s was something else.
Yeah, it just seems like that's the new way, the way it's like something launches like Netflix. Netflix, everyone used to love it. And all of a
Oh
sudden
man.
now it's like the tide is turning, and now they're advertising on it, and it's just like it's
Well,
not
I
the
just
same.
finished
And
watching a show at Netflix and I figured out that I learned that they canceled it after one season. It was just
yeah,
like that's what Netflix is known for now.
it's just like they launch something and it starts cool, and then somehow it's ruined. And now it's happening faster. It used to be like, take like 15 years. Now it's like, within 2 years, it's like, hey, they make these
Everything.
Marvel movies everyone likes. And then now it's like, they just drive that into the ground. And now
Well,
it's
like
just
Squid
like,
Games. Like Squid Game season one, everybody was all about it. And now they're like talking about Squid Game season two, and I think everybody's like,
yeah, who
okay.
cares? Like, can you think of like anything, like whether it's like music related or anything that's like better now than it used to be? It's like everything has gotten more like every movie series, every TV series, every band, every streaming platform. It just seems like everything's getting worse. It could just be me. Like I don't want to be negative, but I just
The
don't
thing
like
the thing that does remain golden though is Hellraiser 2, which I'm
Hellraiser
still
2.
sticking to a 9 for it. I think
Bring it
it's
back full
really
circle.
good.
Yeah. And that's it. Like, yeah, those old movies, it's like, I watch a lot of new movies and they're pretty cool, but sometimes it's like, let's go back and watch the classics again. I'm looking forward to rewatching Hellraiser 3 and 4 because I
Oh
haven't.
man, those are my favorites. Those are those two are my favorite of the series.
Yeah, it's just like, they're kind of more exciting than, whatever new Netflix horror movies coming out. But yeah, like back to Hellraiser 2, like, I just liked it's like they must have just had a bigger budget so they could really explore their
It
own
was like we're
lore.
gonna go crazy, yeah, but
Yeah.
like tastefully crazy.
Yeah, they didn't go. Yeah, they restrained it enough that it was just like very imaginative. And even like Dr. Chenard when he turns into a Cenobite and he's like floating with that thing attached to his head, and he's
Oh
got like
man, it's so
the
sick.
knives. It's like it's a little crappy stop motion things coming out of his hands, but it still looks cool.
It
And
looks good as hell. And to this day, I just finished watching an hour ago. I'm like, man, that looks so cool.
and I like how like Freddy, Jason, Michael, they're all like they're not quite indestructible, but they're hard to beat. But I like how like the Cenobites, like he just basically slashes at them, just kills them, like they're
You can kill
nothing.
him.
And it was like, wow, that was really unexpected. I didn't expect the Cenobites just to die so easily, but it's they're not like all powerful. It's just like a an interesting take on it. And like Kirsty was awesome. Like I like how she continued on and was trying to prove that she's not crazy kind of thing. And yeah, they just have like the core
They
story to
juggled
them.
multiple plots really well.
And even like Dr. Chenard, how it's like, they kind of show him as a kid, like he's always been a twisted, demented guy. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it's like at the end, like when he goes to the hell world, it seems like he almost starts to regret it and have like, remorse. But then when he becomes a Cenobite, then he's like, fuck that, this is awesome.
I experienced true power.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny too, because like in this, it's kind of like you have to be like evil to become a Cenobite. Whereas in part three, it's just like, hey, you die, you're a Cenobite now.
Now, yeah,
Um,
yeah, basically, like you can be walking down the street and now you're a Cenobite. But
yeah,
I'm still looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to part three.
yeah. So we'll review that one next, and then part four after that, and then yeah, leave a comment if anyone watching this wants us to review a movie. We promise not to get way off tangent, unless we feel like it. We might still do that, but
Coming soon. I mean, hey, listen, I feel like the tangents are the funnest part of it all. A good movie inspires good discourse.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.
Bye for now.